everyone hear me okay? Great. So first I'd like to thank FPT. We had an engagement with them to develop research on digital transformation, and I'll be sharing some of the thoughts in my presentation, but also in a panel discussion. We have some of the organizations represented in that report that are going to be here on stage. And I'd also like to thank FPT for making today's event possible, and very inspirational comments and thoughts just presented. And the music this morning was also very inspirational. I just hope I can kind of keep it at that very high level, so thank you for that. Today, organizations compete in what's called the rapid cycle economy. It's one that is driven by continuous innovation and change. And this type of business evolution requires bringing the organization and its ecosystem closer together like never before. And without the necessary infrastructure, business organizations are unable to share the data and work together at the speed that this rapid cycle market requires. And one more thing, the rules of this rapid cycle market dictate that whatever made you successful in 2020 isn't what's going to make you successful in 2030. So to maintain speed of this rapid cycle market, methods such as Agile and Scrum are rapidly becoming business practices. While born in software development, they are now business terms and business processes. And it makes sense because if you think about it, there's software in everything, in products as well as in services. And so today, many CEOs, regardless of what industry they're in, they will say, we're now a tech company. And I think that's really important because their ability to compete it really relies on the quality of their software. And also what's changing with digital transformation is very similar to what we saw in product development. The traditional waterfall approach is one that you didn't bring a product to market unless it was 100% developed. Today, with agile product developments, iterative, continuous testing, and learning mode, this is now the new norm. And it mandates collaboration and alignment, which is really crucial for rapid digital and business transformation in today's very fast-paced market. And to illustrate how change is unfolding, let's think beyond this waterfall concept of imagining a new product or service and thinking about its full life cycle. And I'd also like you to think about digital transformation the same way. Manufacturing product developers may have had to think about a product life cycle that lasted anywhere from, let's say, 7 to 10 years, for example, for a home consumer appliance. But today's companies prioritize what is more of a software life cycle, which spans just a few months, and enabling frequent iterations and numerous product enhancements within 1 year. Sensor technology extends this transformation to both new products as well as existing products, which really revolutionizes innovation and product development. Now, transformation is inevitably hard. And the challenge, I like to say, is very analogous to completing a puzzle. And it would be very simple if all of the puzzle pieces stayed the same. However, today, with digital transformation, over time, as we've seen over the last decade and more, the pieces of the puzzle continue to change. I can remember we were talking about digital transformation more than a dozen years ago, and we were talking about what's called the SMAC technologies. I don't know how many of you remember that era: social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. And this was digital transformation years ago. But obviously, these things have really expanded the role of technology in everything that business organizations do, whether they're in a B2C or a B2B or B2B2C, which is kind of one of the newer models, whatever your business model is. And so when we think about this change and constant evolution of change, think about the evolution of data, because I think that is probably the best way to understand how digital transformation continues to evolve. Many years ago, data was kind of brought into the equation, and managers had to think about making decisions based on data versus their own experience or business intuition. And so from being able to then just trust data upon which to make decisions, we saw big data, we saw advanced analytics, and then came Internet of Things with sensor technology, followed by artificial intelligence, and then machine learning, and now we have generative AI. And the other thing is we really have to think about, what's coming next? What is the next technology? And so, each of these stages requires more powerful systems, more powerful computing power. Let's face it, when we talk about transformation, it's not just about acquiring the technology. It requires realigning your people, your organizational culture, your processes, and sometimes your organizational structure to succeed with business transformation. And just as importantly, it requires a reduction in organizational and technological complexity. It's 100% change management, and leaders have to lead, while bearing in mind that there's a significant challenge here because depending on which data source you choose to believe, 70 to 80% of digital transformation efforts fail to reach their ultimate goals. So our report, and we'll be sharing some of those points of consideration today, we actually outlined 4 points to successful digital transformation. And the first is developing a strategic purpose. So when you think about digital transformation, you shouldn't start thinking about the technology. You should think about what is the business problem you're trying to solve, or what is the opportunity that you're trying to create? What type of performance are you trying to improve upon? Is it better customer experience, better user experience, more speed to market, or maybe reduced inputs for greater sustainability? Usually the goal is some form of efficiency or productivity gain. But keeping in mind that being truly transformed is not just being incrementally upgraded. You really need to be writing new business applications to create new business models. And as Michael Porter, who is one of the more preeminent professors from the Harvard Business School, he likes to point out that efficiency by itself is really not a business strategy. The next thing you have to, once you've defined what your purpose is, you have to align your culture with your strategy. And so subject experts who study digital transformation stress the value of aligning the organizational culture with the strategy, which really boils down to aligning people on major shared objectives and key performance indicators. Now, having stakeholders aligned is key. Otherwise, legal might be leading one way, finance might be leaning another, security and data management yet another, and so on. So it's critical that everybody work together toward a common goal. Let's take, for example, improving customer experience. This is certainly a topic that we cover a lot in Harvard Business Review. Sometimes I think it's kind of funny that we're writing about putting the customer at the center of what you do like it's a new idea. But thinking about that, getting everybody aligned on the same data will elevate the possibility for improved customer experience greater than the potential ever before. And just to kind of illustrate that, if sales and service teams are aware of each other's actions, they can enhance customer satisfaction. Likewise, finance and operations should collaborate for smoother customer experience, and achieving this synergy really requires a united platform. The third thing is you have to measure your success. You start by setting clear milestones and metrics to gain your progress efficiently and effectively. Tracking metrics, for example, like the cycle time for a project completion to measure your innovation speed. How fast can you innovate? And also you need to include financial metrics to calculate the return on the investment, which is really crucial for steering your efforts. Without these metrics and a guide, you're kind of sailing a rudderless ship. So achieving visibility also is required, because within that you need to know whether you're achieving your goals or not achieving your goals. What things are happening versus what things are not happening. And lastly, utilizing partners. First off, technology partners provide the platform for the tools and the capabilities you need to modernize and transform your business. And you may not have the talent in-house, such as skilled coders, when we think about artificial intelligence and these kind of more modern technologies, to be able to facilitate the transformation on your own. So your partner engagement can actually accelerate your evolution by providing you the expertise in addition to the technology. And over time, you can absorb the knowledge within your own workforce, which is critical because you don't want the expertise to walk out the door once the engagement potentially ends. So I want to stop here and kind of finish by discussing partnerships with organizations here in the Asia region. Now, traditionally in the Western world, when we think of Asia, we think of low-cost labor. But finding partners to help with digital transformation is so much more about having a skilled workforce and having really that kind of knowledge. Now, cost is still a component, and in working with a lower cost scale and structure is certainly an advantage. But as we've seen, there are over 50,000 tech workers joining the workforce every year here in Vietnam who recently graduated from a very good engineering school. And their workforce, generally speaking, is young, and they have high ambition, and they also have a real drive for both collaboration as well as for business success. Now, this market has become, Vietnam specifically, has become a real technology R&D hub, with a very strong presence of global tech and telecom giants that are actually set up right here. Within the market, internet penetration is quite strong. It's nearly 100% 4G penetration. GDP is rising fast with more than 8% growth. You know, for a Western country to have that kind of growth is almost unthinkable today. I think one of the best performing Western markets, maybe the United States, can achieve 2% this year. So there's real economic vitality here in this market. Also, Vietnam indexes very high on sustainability indices, which is something that, compared to other markets, I should say, here within Asia. And this is increasingly important to corporate boards and investors. And lastly, the political environment here is very stable, which is really important when it comes to emerging markets. So in sum, the future here in Hanoi and in Vietnam is actually quite bright. Digital transformation is difficult, but it is something that you can succeed. With partners like FPT, you will succeed. Thank you very much.